Last time we explored Rhode Island through the mathematics of the sea. We learned how ships, trade routes, distance, and risk connected this small colony to the Atlantic world. Today we are going to focus on one man, a man who had already spent decades in public service, a man who had already achieved success, a man who was nearly 70 years old when the Declaration of Independence was signed. And yet, at an age when many people were slowing down, Stephen Hopkins chose to help launch a revolution. The question is, what would make a man take that kind of risk? Let's take a closer look. Stephen Hopkins was born in 1707. He signed the Declaration of Independence in 1776. So 1776 minus 1707, 69 years. Age 69. Today, 69 may not seem unusual, but in colonial America, reaching 69 was far less common. Let's take a closer look at Stephen Hopkins. Let's say the experience, mathematics. Okay. Years of public service. +40. So 40 divided by 69, roughly about 58%. So Stephen Hopkins spent more than half of his life involved in public service. So life before public service, roughly about 29 years. With public service, roughly 40 years. So let's look at the outcome again of this revolution that nobody knew what was going to happen. Okay, so 1776 outcome. Option A, if independence succeeds, and option B, if independence fails. If you were Stephen Hopkins in 1776, which outcome would you choose? Now, again, we have talked about this numerous times. We are going to repeat it again. If Britain wins, the least you could get is treason charges, property lost, imprisonment, and possibly execution. These were the least that you could face if Britain were to win this war. The Declaration of Independence was not signed with the benefit of hindsight. Rhode Island early commitment. We talked about this in part one. Let's review it again. Rhode Island renounced allegiance to King George III on May 4th, 1776. 61 days before the Declaration of Independence. Rhode Island was moving toward independence before most colonies were ready. Now let's explore the signature mathematics. Hopkins reportedly suffered from a tremor. Legend says that my hands trembles, but my heart does not. Whether the exact wording is perfect or not, it reflects how contemporaries remembered him. Sometimes courage is not the absence of weakness. Sometimes courage is acting despite weakness. So again, sometimes courage is not the absence of weakness. Sometimes courage is acting despite weakness. Stephen Hopkins was not the youngest signer. He was not the richest signer. He was not the most famous signer. But at age 69, after decades of public service, he chose to support one of the boldest political decisions in American history. In civic math, we often talk about numbers: population, distance, trade probabilities. But some of history's most important calculations cannot be solved with a calculator. They are decisions about principle, risk, and courage. And Stephen Hopkins made his choice. Thank you for watching part 2 of this Rhode Island series. If you like, please subscribe, share it with one person, and we'll see you next time.